We had done this before. Plenty of times. Hide and seek in abandoned places, it was our thing. Stupid, maybe, but thrilling in that way reckless ideas always are. This house, though, was different. It stood at the end of a forgotten road, half hidden by overgrown trees, its roof sagging like an exhausted giant. The windows were dark, empty sockets, and the front door hung slightly open, as if it had been expecting us. Creepy as hell, Jamie muttered, kicking at a broken step. That's the point, Eric said, grinning as he stepped inside first. The six of us followed, dust swirling in the shafts of fading daylight. The place smelled old, wood rot and time itself. Furniture sat frozen under white sheets, like ghosts waiting to be disturbed. We made our way to the center of the house, a wide, open entrance hall with a grand staircase leading up into the dark. The air felt thick, almost heavy, but none of us wanted to be the first to back out. You all know the rules, Sam said, brushing cobwebs from his jacket. One seeker. The rest hide. No leaving the house. Melissa smirked. And no crying when you get caught. David clapped his hands together. All right, who's seeking? We did a quick game of rock, paper, scissors. Eric lost. He groaned. Fine. 30 seconds. Go. We scattered. I moved fast, my footsteps nearly silent on the dust-covered floorboards. I wasn't taking the first room, too obvious. I slipped into a side hallway, my fingers trailing against peeling wallpaper as I searched. Then I found it. An old wardrobe. The kind that looked like it belonged in a horror movie. Its door was slightly ajar, the inside yawning dark and deep. Perfect. I squeezed inside, wincing at the stale smell of mothballs and old wood. Through a small crack, I could just barely see the room outside. I waited. At first, I heard the usual, muffled giggles, soft creaks, the distant rustle of someone shifting behind furniture. Then, a voice rang out. Someone had been found. Laughter. Another person caught. One by one, they were being gathered. Then, footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Not running. Not searching. Just moving. I held my breath. The footsteps stopped right outside my hiding spot. The wardrobe door creaked open. Melissa's face appeared, grinning. Gotcha. I let out the breath I hadn't realized I was holding. She pulled me out, and we made our way back to the entrance hall where the others were waiting. Except one person was missing. We looked at each other, the uneasy silence stretching between us. Someone else had been playing. Someone we couldn't quite remember. And that was the worst part. Who had we lost? The six of us stood in the entrance hall, shifting uncomfortably. Except, were there six of us? That creeping, nagging feeling twisted in my gut, an itch in my brain that I couldn't scratch. I looked at the others, counting them in my head. Eric. Jamie. Melissa. David. Sam. Me. 6. That was right. But it wasn't right. I swallowed hard. Who are we missing? The question sent a ripple of unease through the group. Jamie frowned, her eyebrows knitting together like she was trying to work out a complicated math problem. Wait. She glanced around. Who else was playing? The silence that followed was the worst part. It stretched too long. We should have been able to answer immediately. It should have been obvious. And yet when I tried to focus, when I tried to picture them, it was like trying to remember a dream that had already begun slipping away. Eric let out a nervous chuckle. Okay, real funny. Who's messing with us? Nobody answered. Melissa crossed her arms, her voice unusually quiet. Did anyone actually see them? A wave of nausea rolled through me. It was such a simple question. A yes or no. But my mind refused to cooperate. I had a memory of running, of all of us darting through the house, laughing. I remembered feeling another presence. Another set of footsteps. But when I tried to recall who they were, there was nothing. A blank space where a person should have been. Sam exhaled sharply. No. This is wrong. I counted when we started. I swear I counted 7. My stomach twisted. 7? Jamie repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. Sam nodded, looking sick. Yeah. Not 6. 7. A heavy silence settled over us. The math didn't add up. I knew it. We all knew it. But there was no name. No face. No missing friend to call out for. Just a gap. And that was when I realized something else. The house was too quiet now. The laughter from earlier, the sounds of movement, of settling wood, of the wind outside, all gone. Like something had changed. Like the house had been waiting for us to notice. And now that we had, it was listening. No one spoke for a long time. We just stood there, glancing at each other, waiting for someone to say something that would fix this. But there was nothing to say. Because the more I tried to think about it, the more my brain felt like it was unraveling. It was like a puzzle piece had been ripped from the middle of a picture, leaving a jagged hole that didn't make sense. I knew, we all knew, there had been another person. But when I tried to remember who, my mind skidded away from the answer like a car on black ice. The name was right there, on the tip of my tongue. And then gone. Jamie ran a hand through her hair, letting out a shaky breath. This is insane. We just miscounted. We must have. Sam shot her a look. I counted 7. I know what I saw. Melissa hugged herself, shifting her weight from foot to foot. Okay, then what do we do? If someone's missing, we should go find them, right? Silence. Because how do you look for someone when you don't even know who they are? Eric cleared his throat. We could, check the house. See if someone's still hiding? It was a terrible idea. But what was the alternative? Stand here, in this too quiet house, pretending we weren't all slowly unraveling? We nodded. Eric forced a grin, trying to lighten the mood. And if we find them, we can all agree to never speak of this again. Nobody laughed. I turned toward the hall, glancing at the darkened rooms beyond. Somewhere in this house, something was missing. And I wasn't entirely sure we should be trying to find it. We split up. Not far, none of us wanted to be alone, but enough to cover more ground. The house wasn't huge, but it had that old, twisting layout where hallways led to unexpected rooms, and doors opened into places you didn't remember passing. We weren't hiding anymore. We were searching. For what? I didn't know. I moved carefully, trailing my fingers along the faded wallpaper as I walked. My breath felt too loud in the heavy silence. The dust in the air made it seem like the whole house had been waiting undisturbed for years, and yet, just minutes ago, we had been running through it. I passed the room I had hidden in. The old wardrobe stood open, exactly as I had left it. My footprints were the only ones in the dust. No one else had been here. I swallowed hard and kept going. One by one, we met back in the entrance hall, each of us looking a little paler, a little more shaken. Jamie hugged herself. Nothing? Eric shook his head. Nobody's here. He hesitated. We're just overthinking it. But even as he said it, I could tell he didn't believe it. Then Sam spoke. His voice was quiet. Uncertain. I don't think we're overthinking anything. We turned to him. He looked sick. I counted, he said again, almost to himself. I counted 7 when we started. A chill ran through me. Sam had been saying that since the moment we realized something was wrong. I had believed him the first time, but I had still been clinging to the hope that maybe we were just confused. Maybe we had misremembered. But now, the look on his face told me something different. Jamie frowned. Yeah, we get it. 7. We can't remember who, but... Sam shook his head. No. That's not what I mean. He looked up, eyes dark with something I didn't want to name. I just counted again. A pause. Then... There are 8 of us now. A cold, electric fear ran through me. 8? No. That wasn't possible. There were 6 of us. 7 maybe? But 8? That didn't make sense. Wait, what? Jamie's voice was tight, like she didn't want to ask the question. What do you mean, 8? Sam swallowed hard, his hands clenching into fists. I counted. Twice. He looked around at us, his eyes flicking from face to face. And there's someone else here. The silence was suffocating. I felt my stomach twist. That same feeling from before, that crawling sense that something wasn't right. That there was a space where a person should have been, except now, the space wasn't empty anymore. I turned, scanning the dimly lit entrance hall, counting. Me. Eric. Jamie. Melissa. David. Sam. 6. But then, there was a 7th person. Standing slightly behind Melissa. The breath caught in my throat. A man. Tall. Thin. Dressed in faded, dust-covered clothes like he'd been here for years. His head tilted slightly downward, shadow obscuring most of his face. But the worst part? I didn't know him. But some part of me thought I should. Melissa noticed my stare. What? She asked, her voice edged with panic. I couldn't speak. She turned, and then she froze. Her whole body went stiff. The blood drained from her face. Jamie made a small, choked sound. David took an unconscious step back. Because now, we could all see him. And somehow, we all knew, he had been with us the entire time. Even though none of us remembered him. Even though he didn't belong. And then he spoke. His voice was flat. Emotionless. Wrong. You found me. No one moved. No one breathed. The man stood there, still as a statue, half hidden in the dim light. His clothes were colorless, his posture unnaturally stiff, like a mannequin someone had forgotten to put away. His face, what little we could see of it, was wrong. Not deformed, not monstrous, just off. Like a blurry photograph of a person, missing the fine details that made them real. But the worst part? The part that made my stomach churn and my fingers turn ice cold? Some part of me, some deep, instinctive part, knew him. Like a name on the tip of my tongue. Like a friend I'd long forgotten. Like someone who had always been with us. And yet, I couldn't remember his name. Jamie was the first to move. She let out a shaky breath and took a step backward, nearly tripping over herself. What the fuck? The man didn't react. He just stood there, watching. Or maybe not watching. His eyes were lost in shadow, unreadable. Melissa made a strangled noise in the back of her throat. She turned wide-eyed to Eric. Who is that? Eric's mouth opened, then closed again. His fingers twitched like he wanted to grab someone, maybe to prove we were real. David took another step away. His voice came out hoarse. Is this some kind of joke? None of us had an answer. Because he was there. And we all knew, deep down, he had been there from the start. The man didn't move. He just stood there, shoulders stiff, face half hidden in the dim light. The longer I looked at him, the worse it got. Something about the way he was standing made my skin crawl, like he wasn't just a person standing still, but something trying to imitate it. Jamie's breathing was sharp, erratic. We need to leave. No one disagreed. Eric nodded quickly. Yeah. Let's get the hell out of here. We turned as one, relief surging through my body. And stopped. The front door was gone. Not locked. Not barricaded. Just gone. Where the door had been minutes ago, there was now only a blank stretch of wall, covered in faded, peeling wallpaper. Melissa made a sound, low and panicked. What the hell is this? David spun, looking for another exit. The door was right here. It was right here. He shoved his hands against the wall, slamming his palm against it. Solid. Cold. Unbroken. I turned sharply toward the windows. Except, they weren't windows anymore. They were just dark, empty spaces. Black holes that swallowed all light, leading into nothing. A horrible, sinking realization settled over me. The house wasn't letting us go. Jamie's hands clenched into her hair. No. No, no, and no. She turned wildly, looking from hallway to hallway. Her whole body was shaking. This isn't real. This isn't. Her voice cut off suddenly. Her breath hitched. And then, she looked past us. I didn't want to turn around. I did not want to turn around. But my body betrayed me. My head turned, my heart thudding like a hammer in my chest. The man. He was closer. He had moved. Not much, just a step, maybe two. But that was enough. Enough to make my entire body seize with cold, gut-wrenching terror. Because we hadn't heard it. Hadn't seen it. One moment, he was standing at the edge of the shadows. The next, he was closer. Melissa sucked in a sharp breath. Did he just move? Sam finished, his voice barely a whisper. No one wanted to say it. Because if we said it, we had to accept it. And if we accepted it, we had to accept something worse. He could move whenever we weren't looking. Jamie's hands clenched into fists. We're getting out of here. Right now. She spun toward the hallway that led to the back of the house, moving fast, not waiting for anyone. But the moment she stepped past the entrance hall, she stopped. Her whole body tensed. Jamie? I took a shaky step forward. She was staring. Not at the floor. Not at the walls. At the hallway itself. I followed her gaze, and my stomach twisted into a cold, tangled knot. The hallway was wrong. It stretched too far, the walls too long, the shadows too deep. It wasn't the same hallway we had walked through earlier. I knew it in my bones. The house wasn't just keeping us inside. It was changing. And suddenly, a horrible thought slammed into me. What if we weren't the first ones here? A sound cut through the silence. A whisper. A voice, low and familiar. You found me. My blood turned to ice. I whipped around. The man was closer again. Panic crashed over me like a wave. He was closer again, less than 10 feet away now. No one had seen him move. No one had heard a single footstep. But there he was, standing too close, his head still tilted at that unnatural angle. His presence felt wrong, like he wasn't really touching the floor. Like if I reached out to shove him, my hands would pass right through him, or worse, sink into something soft and warm. I couldn't breathe. David made a strangled noise in his throat. We need to run. Then he did. He turned and bolted down the impossible hallway before any of us could stop him. His footsteps pounded against the warped wooden floor, his breath ragged with terror. David, wait! Jamie shouted, lunging after him. The moment she crossed the threshold, the hallway snapped shut. Not visibly. Not like a door slamming or a wall appearing. Just 1 second it was there. The next it wasn't. Like it had never existed. Like David had never existed. A heavy, suffocating silence filled the air. Then, Melissa whispered, David? No answer. I turned in a slow, shuddering circle. Counting. Me. Eric. Jamie. Melissa. Sam. 5. David was gone. And the worst part? For a fraction of a second, I almost forgot he had ever been here. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to remember David. His face. His voice. The way he laughed too loud at his own jokes. The way he always insisted on being the last to hide because he thrived under pressure. But the more I focused, the more the details slipped away. Like trying to hold on to a dream after waking up. I forced my eyes open, my chest rising and falling too fast. We have to get him back, Melissa said, her voice shaking. Jamie's breath hitched. How? None of us had an answer. Because the hallway, the one he ran into, was gone. Just smooth, unbroken wallpaper where it had been. Like it was never there. And maybe, if we stayed here long enough, we'd forget he had ever existed. I turned to Sam, hoping for some kind of plan, but his face was twisted in confusion. Like he was struggling with something. Sam? I asked. He blinked dazed. Who's David? My stomach dropped. Jamie whirled on him. Are you kidding me? Sam looked at us, genuinely lost. Melissa grabbed his arm. We were just talking about him. He ran into the hall. Her voice faltered. Because the memory was already fading. The fear in Sam's eyes turned to something worse. Something horrified. His voice shook. I swear I don't know who you're talking about. The house was taking more than just our escape. It was taking pieces of us. And if we stayed here long enough, we might not remember ourselves. I grabbed Sam by the shoulders. You know him. You do. Think. His face twisted in concentration, his brows furrowing like he was trying to recall a fact buried deep in his mind. But then his expression shifted, to panic. I don't remember, he whispered, voice hoarse. I don't remember anyone named David. A cold chill ran through me. Jamie's breath was shallow, frantic. This isn't right. This? She turned wild-eyed to Melissa. Tell me you still remember him. Melissa opened her mouth. Closed it. Her hands trembled at her sides. Her lips parted again, but this time, her voice was uncertain. David. The sound of his name came out weak, fragile. Like she wasn't sure if she was saying it right. I felt something clench around my throat. The house wasn't just keeping us trapped. It was erasing us. One by one. Piece by piece. Until there was nothing left to forget. Eric suddenly grabbed my wrist. His fingers dug in tight, desperate. Say my name, he whispered. I blinked at him, confused. What? His grip tightened. Say my name. Right now. Something in his voice, pure terror. I tried to answer immediately, but the moment I opened my mouth, I hesitated. Not because I didn't know. Not because I had forgotten. But because, for the briefest, most fleeting second, the name felt wrong. Like I was forcing it out. Like the house was trying to take it, too. Eric. My voice cracked. His breath hitched. Say mine, Jamie whispered, her voice barely audible. Jamie, I said quickly. She let out a shaky breath. Yours. I swallowed hard. I stopped. My mind blacked out. Something sharp and cold stabbed into my gut. Because in that moment, standing in that dusty, decaying house, I didn't know. I didn't know my own name. My breath came fast and shallow. I couldn't say my name. I knew I had one. I had to. But the second I tried to bring it forward, to make it real, my mind locked up. Like the space where it should have been was just empty. Say it, Jamie pleaded. Just say it. My throat tightened. I could feel it on the edge of my thoughts, just out of reach, slipping further the more I chased it. Like it wasn't mine anymore. Like it had never been. My hands shook. Melissa grabbed my arm, her fingers digging in. You know it. Just focus. I squeezed my eyes shut. Digging. Searching. Grasping at nothing. The house was pulling me apart thread by thread. And it wasn't stopping. Because now, I was forgetting something else. It hit me like a punch to the stomach. Not just my name. Not just David. Something bigger. Someone else. I sucked in a breath, trying to hold on to it, trying to remember before it was too late. Because it wasn't just one person we had lost. It never had been. It was more. So many more. How many? How many of us had there been when we started? A chill crawled up my spine. I turned to Eric, my voice barely above a whisper. How many of us were here? His face paled. He opened his mouth to answer. Then froze. A hollow, empty look came over his face. And then, in the smallest, most broken voice. I don't know. A deep, horrible silence filled the house. None of us spoke. None of us could. Because Eric wasn't the only one who didn't know. I didn't know. Jamie's lips parted slightly, her eyes darting between us, desperate for someone to say something, to prove that we were still here. But the words never came. Because the longer I thought about it, the longer I tried to count us, the more everything started to blur. Eric, Jamie, Melissa, Sam, me. That was 5. But was it always 5? Hadn't there been 6? Or 7? Or... My head throbbed. The numbers twisted in my brain, folding over each other like paper being crumpled into a ball. David was gone. And now, I wasn't sure if Sam had ever existed at all. I turned slowly. Sam was still standing there, still looking at me. But something was different. His eyes. They weren't scared anymore. They were blank. Like he wasn't really looking at me. Like he wasn't really there at all. I took a small step forward, my mouth dry. Sam? His head tilted. Not like a person responding to their name. More like a puppet shifting on loose strings. And then, in a voice that was almost his, but not quite. You found me. A shudder ran through me. I turned to Jamie. To Eric. To Melissa. Their faces were pale. Horrified. Because they had all heard it too. Sam wasn't Sam anymore. And maybe he never had been. My whole body turned to ice. Sam was wrong. I knew it the way I knew something was watching me in the dark. The way my gut twisted when I stood too close to the edge of a cliff. It wasn't just his voice. It was the way he stood, too stiff, too straight. The way his head had tilted at that unnatural angle. The way he wasn't breathing. I took a step back. My legs felt weak, like they might give out at any moment. Sam, Jamie whispered. He didn't blink. Didn't move. Didn't breathe. And then, he took a step forward. No sound. No weight shifting. Just closer. I gasped. My body screamed run, 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 but I couldn't move. Melissa grabbed my arm, her grip so tight it hurt. That's not Sam, she choked out. And I knew she was right. Because I couldn't remember when Sam had joined the game. I couldn't remember if Sam had ever been real at all. The air around us thickened, heavy, suffocating, pressing against my skull. I turned my head frantically, trying to focus, trying to count. Me. Jamie. Eric. Melissa. 4. Hadn't there been 5 just a moment ago? No, 6. 7? The numbers twisted, shifting, breaking apart in my mind. I clenched my jaw, trying to hold on to something, anything. But the harder I tried, the more my own thoughts faded. The walls around us groaned, stretching taller, the shadows creeping in like they were swallowing the house whole. Eric stumbled back, his voice shaking. We need to. He stopped. Blinking. Confused. Like he had just realized something. Then, in a small, terrified whisper. Who are you guys? My heart stopped. Eric's face blank. Empty. Like he was looking at strangers. Like he didn't know us anymore. And then, before I could reach for him, before I could say anything, he was gone. Eric was gone. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a flash of light, not dragged into the shadows by unseen hands. He was just no longer there. Like he had never been standing beside me. Like he had never existed at all. I turned frantic, searching for him, but there was nothing to find. No footprints in the dust. No space where he had been standing. Just a widening, empty void where his name should have been in my mind. Jamie sobbed, her hands tangled in her hair. No, no, and no. Melissa shook her head wildly, her lips parted, but no sound came out. I couldn't think. Couldn't breathe. Because I was forgetting him. I fought it, clawed against it, but the moment I stopped saying his name in my head, the memory of him started to dissolve like mist. And then, the whispers returned. Closer. You found me. My stomach dropped. Melissa gasped, her fingers digging into my wrist. Jamie let out a breathless, broken, run. But I already knew there was nowhere left to run. The walls moved. Not fast. Not suddenly. But slowly, stretching, shifting, bending in ways walls shouldn't be able to bend. The windows were gone. The doors were gone. Jamie turned wildly, her breath coming in short, sharp gasps. There has to be a way out, there has to be. Her voice cut off. I blinked. She was gone. Melissa's grip on me tightened. Oh my God! I turned to her, my throat closing up, my head pounding. My vision swam. I tried to speak, tried to say her name. But I couldn't remember it. I couldn't. Darkness. Silence. For a long time, there was nothing. Then a voice, playful. Familiar. All right. Who's seeking? A laugh. A shuffle of feet on old wooden floors. A game, just about to begin. Again.